Hello and welcome to episode 1 of Roundtable Movie Talk. It's a podcast where I get together with a couple of my friends and talk about movies, old movies, new movies, movies that maybe none of us have seen, maybe that all of us have seen, that we just want to dissect, talk about the story and character and stuff about the film. My name is Michael Bishop. I really like movies. I have for a long time. I want to make movies. Started a couple of projects. First foray into podcasting, so this should be fun. With me, I have my concrete co-host, Jim. Wolfstump?
Yeah, I'm supposed to introduce myself, aren't I?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Jim.
You are Jim.
I am Jim. And you guys will get to know me along the way, so that's about as good an introduction I have.
Okay. First rotating chair guest host is Adam Vigna. Adam, you want to...
Yeah, thanks. I have almost credentials. I have almost a degree, and therefore I have almost a film minor. And that's all right. It's good enough. Yeah.
And
so
what do you...
I majored in good enough. Mom and Dad are proud.
What do you love about movies? Like, when you were a kid, do you have a story?
Escapism. I mean, that's really... when you get involved in any kind of entertainment, I mean, that's really what happens, right? You go to a big dark theater, and you lose yourself for a couple hours. And if you're, have a gigantic amount of self-loathing, that's good. That helps. That's a coping mechanism. So a lot of the childhood years, a lot of developmental stuff was spent, just getting away from time to time and, diving into a fantasy world to...
Did you have a go-to VHS tape that you would put in and rewind and watch over and over again?
I had three.
What were they?
Ghostbusters, Back to the Future, and do I want to admit this?
I do. I hope.
Okay,
you do.
I think it's a really good movie. It gets a little, I think, like hagiography almost, but the original Ninja Turtles.
I watched that movie over and over again.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, I feel like we cantonized it just due to the generation that we are, but so be it.
Because there's not that much gap between us. I'm 32. You're 30.
Yeah.
Jim is the baby at 87.
Yeah.
Yes. Going on 27.
25?
I'm a very... 26.
26.
26.
I don't know.
It doesn't matter.
You're a wee lass.
He can buy booze. That's all.
Lass? Get your Scottish terminology right.
So yeah, I think we all really grew up in the same general era of film, and I'm a Goonies kid. I'm a Monster Squad kid. All those things definitely were escapism. Batman.
Can I admit something kind of dirty?
Yeah.
I've never seen the Goonies.
Really?
Never seen it.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
No.
Do you
Not even
wanna-
on TBS?
Not even on like a WGN like afternoon movie. No, never.
Do you ever want to?
No.
No? You're just gonna...
No, I'd like to be a curmudgeon about it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like Labyrinth. Never seen that either.
Because I think that Jim and I are opposites. Like, I love the Goonies, and you...
I'm ambivalent to it. I enjoy it for what it is. It just wasn't a movie of my childhood. I grew up in a slightly different 5-year gap.
What for both of you was the first movie that really just punched you in the gut and made you go, holy shit, I love movies, and I really want to just pick them apart and everything like that. Jim?
Mine's weird because I had a bit of a gap. I was always like the kid who would come home, pop in VHS, usually the same movie, and watch it. I would just watch movies all the time. I'd go to the theater a lot, etc. But Jurassic Park, saw that when it came out.
93.
Yeah. So I was like 5? Yeah, I was 5. My parents were awesome. Yeah, saw that when it came out with my family. It was one of my favorite movies. Got it on VHS when it came out. It wasn't until a couple years later that I was watching behind the scenes on TV rerun about Jurassic Park, and you just watch Steven Spielberg be like a man-child about dinosaurs.
About animatronic dinosaurs.
Yeah, which that's a thing.
It's totally.
It's a kid playing with his toys.
Exactly. Yeah. So it completely appealed to me. You know, I like stories to begin with, and to hear somebody who's making them, you know, who's making the things that I'm watching every day. I never had put two and two together because I was 8. So that was pretty much it. I saw that. I figured out what a director was because I asked my parents, "Mom, Dad, what's a movie director?"
He's an inscrutable guy with a viewfinder. Yeah.
And I had
And a
very
canvas chair.
I had one.
Did you?
Yeah,
Makes rectangles with his forefinger and thumb.
did that
Everywhere
too.
he goes. Yeah.
What was your film?
Mine's totally snobbish.
Okay.
Yeah. So, excuse me. I had a good friend from high school. His name's John. He went to the then College of Santa Fe for movie and image arts. So he's a film student, and he sent me a VHS copy, totally legal VHS copy of Bergman's Persona, which is B.B. Anderson.
Ingmar Bergman?
Yes, Ingmar Bergman's Persona, B.B. Anderson, Liv Ullmann. I was 17 at the time, and it's a total mindfuck. And I think at that point in time, like, that's when movies as entertainment stopped, and movies as an art. It's a totally snobbish answer.
That's fine.
Yeah, movies as an art form started.
Mm-hmm.
I think right around that time, Mulholland Drive also came out.
Yeah.
Which cost me a girlfriend.
Really?
Yeah, totally. She's like, I can't see movies with you anymore. It's too weird. So yeah, David Lynch and Bergman kind of got me to read a movie as opposed to just watch one.
Yeah. THX 1138 was mine. It felt. I think I was much older when the actual premise of a film can be so much more than just something to watch.
I feel like we should mention we're outside.
Yeah, we are outside on the patio at Epoch, so you will hear cars.
There's a great breeze.
Yeah,
Nice rustling
yeah.
in the trees. Late spring evening in Texas.
It's very natural.
Giant,
very natural.
giant cloudless sky.
But yeah, the first time I watched that really just blew me away, and I watched it over and over and over again, probably 3 times a day for like a week.
That's obsessive.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
but I was also, into Nine Inch Nails.
How many
and
times
stuff,
can you watch
and
Robert Duvall get cattle prodded?
Apparently 3 times a day for a week. Before I said no.
Enough is enough.
Yeah.
That white room's creeping me out. Had enough. Think about shaving your head.
But we are here to talk about film, and we all watched this. Jim and I watched it together, and then I think I watched it on my own again. Did you watch it again, or
No,
No?
I haven't actually.
So you're just once through.
Yep, I thought it would be an interesting comparison because I know the both of you have seen it more than once now.
And Adam watched
Yeah.
it.
So we're going to carry Jim.
Yeah, we are.
We're going to carry him. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I just finished it again. All of maybe 2 hours ago. Yeah, so it's real fresh.
It's very good. So we have different levels of freshness. So the film today that we all watched is Dallas Buyers Club. And Adam, do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, sure. So, as a movie, it was released during Oscar season, so November 22nd, 2013. You can pick it up on DVD. Came out back on the 4th of February, 2014, which is what is allowing us to have watched it repeatedly without having to pay $10 and eat stale popcorn. It's always great.
Because I didn't see it in theaters at all.
No, it was one of those things where I saw a trailer in front of Blue is the Warmest Color with the girlfriend, and I was like, we should totally see that, and then forgot about it. And then Oscar buzz, go back and do what you can. I think the interesting aspect, at least for me, when you go to IMDb and you look at it, is it's directed by someone that's really hasn't done like seminal, powerful work, right? Jean-Marc Vallée, like he's just like, I look at him, he's like a guy from Quebec. That's all I got. Same thing goes for the writing duo, Craig Borton, Melissa Wallach. I think, I'm not sure which one, but one of them, this is their only writing credit.
Really?
That's it. And the other one of them, they have 2. So they're relatively fresh. I think across the board, really, if you think about it from like a director-writer combo, and it doesn't feel that way.
No.
At all.
It felt very seasoned on all fronts.
Yeah, And especially like you start roping other aspects into it, like they shot on an incredibly tight timetable. It was made for like what, $5 million.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like not a giant budget. You have to think most of that's going to be spent on locations and actors, right?
Right.
So for the fact that like they put it together the way they did and as well as they did is kind of phenomenal. So go them.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's impressive.
And you said they shot in a short time. How long was the shooting?
25 whole days,
Really?
3.5 weeks.
Just in, out, and done.
Yeah, right. Wham bam, thank you, ma'am. Supposedly there was no rehearsal time whatsoever, which if you think about Matthew McConaughey and Jared Leto winning Oscars for their performances, like how does that work? Like you read the script, you go lose a bunch of weight, and then you just show up and do it. Like that's
Sauna time.
yeah. You sweat it out, just sweat it out. So yeah, from that aspect, it's kind of crazy. And then
so it's a story set in Dallas, but they filmed it.
in Louisiana, New Orleans. Yeah.
And that's pretty
I
cool.
would imagine taxes are real cheap.
Louisiana is inviting everyone to come and shoot there.
Yeah.
They're giving so many great benefits and perks and it's like
Incentives.
incentives. That word that I couldn't think of.
Whereas Texas, not really.
Maybe.
I think
Getting slowly better about it, but
Yeah.
not really.
yeah, no. I mean, my hometown of Detroit is basically throwing money at people as well. So,
Is that working?
Did they shoot the new RoboCop in Detroit?
I don't think so.
I don't think RoboCop has ever been in Detroit except
Yeah,
for the big statue.
the original RoboCop was shot in Dallas.
Yep.
So, yeah, go team. No, what was the robot movie with Hugh Jackman?
Robot movie.
with
Chappie.
No.
No, with the boxing.
The boxing
Oh,
robots.
Chappie's coming out.
Iron something.
Heavy metal or no?
No, it was Iron something. But that's like the only movie I can think of that was made in Detroit. So, go Motor City.
Real Steel.
Real Steel.
Yeah.
There
That's
you
what it
go.
was.
Not
That's what
Iron
it was
something.
called.
Steel. Oh, well, Iron's in Steel. Close enough.
So you mentioned something about actor or Oscar buzz.
Yeah, and I think it's released by Focus, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's.
Not done by Focus, though.
No, just distributed.
Right. Voltage is the
Production company.
production
Yeah.
company that put it out.
So-
Who loves Steven Seagal?
Oh yeah.
Who doesn't?
I don't.
Yeah, he's a sheriff, right? Is that
Is he
correct?
actually?
I have no idea.
I think he's only one on TV.
He's only one on TV.
Yeah.
Just plays one.
Yeah.
Just plays one on TV.
I thought he was a deputy, not even like a sheriff.
He's deputy. We'll Google this later.
Yeah.
We'll look this up. We'll figure it out.
This isn't about Steven Seagal.
But yeah,
I don't think we're ever going to do
that's
a show
a
about
totally
Steven Seagal.
well. We should consider a retrospective later. We can watch.
Unless Steven Seagal does a JVCD equivalent film.
No, we'll just watch Under Siege repeatedly.
Wasn't he in Machete?
What?
Wasn't he in Machete?
Steven Seagal?
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never seen Machete.
Really?
Somewhere, Robert Rodriguez is he's weeping.
No, he doesn't care.
Lindsay Lohan is a nun with automatic weapons.
That's totally believable.
Yeah, what more do you need? But yeah, no, I mean, just to get back to Dallas Buyers Club, I don't know. It's one of those things where it's not an easy watch.
No, it wasn't at all.
And in that regard, like, I don't know how I did it twice. I'll be real honest, I didn't want to.
But you did it for the show.
Yeah, it's one of those.
Not even I did that.
Yeah. Jim's like, no, once is enough.
Yeah.
Good. So.
Jim doesn't need rehearsals.
Yeah, Jim's like, he's just one and done. So yeah, but yeah, in watching it twice, I think the first time I was really just kind of wowed by performances, and then the second time through is when I started picking up, overtones, undertones.
Visual themes.
Yeah,
Recurring themes.
yeah, some recurring themes. Which I'm sure we'll get into later. Probably going to talk about the rodeo a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they deserved those Oscars.
They really did.
Sorry, Leo. Better luck next
I haven't
time.
seen Wolf of Wall Street, so I can't really say one way or the other. But
That's going to be for an entirely different show. I've already seen it once, and I will watch it again and again and again.
Yeah, first McConaughey stole a scene, and then he stole an Oscar. right out from under that sucker.
Just by beating on his chest.
Yep.
Jim, you'll understand when you watch Wolf of Wall Street.
You'll get it.
So let's should we touch on the fiction versus reality before we start breaking the film down?
I would say yeah, because this is definitely, I don't even say it's an adaptation, but I mean there's a lot taken out of the flick and a lot that's just put in, fabricated. Even Rayon, played by Jared Leto, not a real person.
Mm-hmm.
Character completely made for this film. Same with Jennifer Garner's character, Dr. Eve Sachs.
Didn't exist.
Didn't exist. Just pastiche of real influences and etc. At the end of the day, I think that just highlights that this movie is a character study. It's not an account of true events. It's this man's child. When you're looking at storytelling, yeah, that makes a lot of sense to go from that angle. Even though you're missing out on things like he had an ex-wife, he had a kid. He was told that he might have this disease back in like '81. We never get any of this. We get the barest story possible just to tell us the story.
And it worked.
Well, it did. A lot of this, like Eve Saxon, I'm sure we'll probably touch upon this later, I felt wasn't actually a character, but just a plot piece. I don't know if that's punctuated by the performance behind it as well, but totally just a plot piece.
Do you feel that she was tropey?
A bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You look at me like you know. You do know. Yeah, no. Jennifer Garner's screen time, with the exception of that which she spent with a hammer, it really it pulls the movie under. She's the albatross. Somewhere Matthew McConaughey got a little bit stronger by carrying her through those scenes. And
Like the dinner scene, which was amazing.
Yeah, which
on his end
is one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie. And yeah, I'm like, just get rid of her, please. Can we move on?
She was kind of the quicksand every time she was on screen.
Yeah. And then, I mean, she has some Deus Ex Machina roles via, prescription pads and things of that nature. And I think it's one of those things where maybe we need a female character so we can identify with somebody from a female standpoint. They try to make her this empathetic figure. Only time I see empathy is when she has a hammer. So
it's the only time she's actually human. Everything else is very much like almost a mythic role of the cog in a system that's not functioning, realizing that they're a cog in a system that's not functioning.
Yeah, and I think, Bishop, you said this yesterday, which was basically like, you don't feel like she even has the gravitas of a nurse, let alone a doctor. Yeah, and I totally agree. So, please, Jennifer, go to class.
Yeah. I mean, considering the fact that Rayon is a fictional character and is one of the strongest characters in this film.
McConaughey chewed on every scene that he was in, which was 99% of everything on film. But every time Jared was on screen, my eyes could not go away from him. He killed every line, every delivery.
It's a face. It's a face. He wears it.
Yeah.
He just wears it so well. Maybe it's the cheekbones. I'm not
Can
sure.
cut paper on those things.
You absolutely could. You could cut your finger on them.
You could.
I want to give a giant shout out to Bradford Cox. Played Sonny, lead singer of a great band, Deer Hunter. I think Bradford was the only individual that didn't have to lose weight.
And he still beat everybody.
Yeah, he still looks the most skeletal out of everyone, and I guarantee he did not shed a pound. He has, I think it's called Marfan disease. Marfan, yeah. Yes. So basically, that's what makes him the long, gangly guy. It's responsible for it, and I've hugged him in real life, and it's like hugging a pencil. Like there's just not much to that man. He has a concave chest. I am not even joking. But I think he, especially after Rayon dies, does some really understated acting, which I don't think is normal out of a first-timer at all. So
this is his first role.
This is his first role ever. If there is a need for a tall, lanky skeleton in any of your movies, please,
a soft-spoken skeleton.
Yeah, please cast Bradford Cox. Let's get some more of that guy.
Who was the FDA guy?
Oh, I forgot to write his name down. Oh, no. Totally forgot to write his name down. Let's look him up real quick.
That is a guy by the name of Michael O'Neill.
He looks like he was born to be a cop.
That's the mustache.
Is it?
Right?
It's a fantastic mustache.
I think that's what it is. Let's just IMDb real quick. Let's go down the line here. He has been, in no particular order, and by that I mean chronologically, he has been a senator, a mayor, an NCIS special agent. He has been a commander. He has been a doctor. He has been a sheriff. He has been a CIA director. He has been a reverend. He has been a sheriff again, an FBI agent. We are only back to 2007.
Wow.
Yeah. A detective. A father again. Secret Service agent. I'm going to stop. Major General Harold Ross. So...
He's a man of authority.
Yeah. Typecast?
No,
not even a little.
not
You
a
guys say
bit.
no, I say yeah. I don't know what you're talking about. It's quite obvious what's happening to that dude.
So his agent doesn't even have to try.
No, it's like, oh, you need a cup? I got a cup.
I got one for you. I got him on ice. We just pull him out. But yeah, I mean that's.
Once again, doubt that was an actual person, but very
No,
serviceable.
he was a plot device.
Yeah.
He felt like, I'm sure there was many cops along the way for this story in the real
Oh yeah,
life,
I
but
somehow doubt that the first time that you get caught
they
coming out of
lumped him.
Mexico.
They lumped him together into every
Yeah,
cop.
you can't.
Yeah.
Well, the FDA is such a faceless organization.
Yeah.
That you
Right.
had to put a face on it.
You have to, and that face has a mustache.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which, is
Authoritative.
kind of funny because they did the same thing with the Big Pharma representative.
Yeah, he sleeked back, rings on fingers.
Yeah, but I
and-
mean, he's there each time that they need a Big Pharma representative. It is the same actor, it's the same character, as if there only exists one in all of Dallas.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But
It totally works. It totally works. And you're dealing... None of these people to focus, except for, like, Rayon and Woodruff, which
Yeah,
is a
they're-
name that I can't really say that well.
They were more organizations personified as these individuals.
Yeah.
And they're just like, okay, this is your whole cop squad is this dude.
Can I just?
Steve's on.
Steve's on.
Steve sounds great. Can I just real fast? How did Ronald Reagan not make an appearance in this film?
He was dead.
No. Thanks for pointing that out,
He
Jim.
has a really bad agent.
Yeah, yeah. But seriously, like, how is it we had no video of Ronald Reagan the whole entire time? I
I
feel.
think the closest thing that came to any kind of outward political face was the news clip.
Yeah, there's a news clip for the FDA.
Yeah.
The
But
riots.
this,
Yeah.
it wasn't... And exactly, that's where the story is. That's where the heart of the story is.
Mhm.
Yeah, but knowing in retrospect, knowing what we know about the AIDS epidemic in the '80s, and something like Angels in America, like I feel like you have to. Maybe it's one of those things where, knowing what we know, like the specter of Ronald Reagan's haunting it already, and we don't need to be.
It's
ham-fisted
just
with
the
it, but-
looming ghost of Reagan.
Yeah.
and
Well,
his
here's my question then.
shuffling
Is this
body.
a movie about AIDS, or is this a movie about a man's fight with the FDA for the right to take the medication that he needs to actually help him? Like, this movie could have been any disease that could be helped with a illegal drug.
Yeah, I mean the whole theme is summed up in the courtroom scene
Yeah.
in Act 3.
I mean,
But
the fact
we'll
that
get there.
he has AIDS,
Yeah.
although in part, I don't think this is necessarily a movie about the AIDS epidemic, necessarily.
Oh, sure it was.
Yeah.
Not where the main focus was, though. I mean,
right. Yeah. It's happening.
Yeah,
it's
it's
on the
happening.
periphery,
It's
yeah.
there, but that's not the
again-
crux of the film's conflict.
Again, to lump an entire community for this story, we had Mustache Man for the FDA. We had Ron as the spokesman in this film for the AIDS community.
But was it really for the AIDS community, or for the right to take medication that actually helps? For the right to... Was it a big pharma versus the little man story, or was it really about AIDS? Because if it was about AIDS, I would totally be asking, why isn't a news clip of Ronald Reagan here? Why isn't more of that being focused on? But the focus seemed to be on this man versus system, as opposed to why he's fighting the system.
Yeah, but there's still some fringe things going on, right? So we have homophobia as a fringe thing. I mean, not even fringe.
Well,
but
I'm not
pretty
saying
central.
like because its primary focus isn't AIDS that it doesn't exist in the film, because that would just be stupid. But I'm just saying that as a whole, the movie's focus really isn't on the epidemic. It's
See,
this very personal battle instead.
Right. Well, I'd go so far as to say it's not really. I mean, if you think about it, okay, so what is this coming on the heels of? This is coming on the heels of the Affordable Care Act, which I can't say Obamacare. I don't know why.
You just did.
I did just once. That's gonna be the last time. And it's about the government meddling in your shit, right?
Yeah.
And it's about having the right to decide and the ability to control your health. And I mean, it's definitely making a comment on that. And I think maybe this is just me, but one of the things it could have investigated is today in how much things are meddled with, and then how much things are meddled with, and have we actually gotten anywhere?
Not really.
Yeah, but I guess that's not the question it's asking, right? It really doesn't want to ask that question. It kind of half-heartedly floats it out there,
Yeah.
and then stops, right? So I feel like the point could have been driven home a hell of a lot harder.
If that was the point at all.
If that was the point at all.
Yeah.
But that's okay, right? So we don't have to tackle the big shit all the time.
Well, this was a small story that had a lot of effect on millions of people after the fact. Trying to make an entire movie about the AIDS, the people stricken with AIDS and their community and how they get together and cope and deal and survive and get through and everything, that would be too broad. So focusing in on these characters in this amazing story is much more ideal. It's more isolated, and he is representing that in this. And that's why at the end you see all the little news blurbs of, they do mention Ronald Reagan, but they don't show him.
AZT, etc. Yeah, and perhaps I guess the real government question isn't really a government question so much as the conflation of big pharma and government, and is that in our best interest? That's really what it's all about.
Well, I mean, that seems to be the whole entire reason that Dr. Sachs is a character in this film, because you sort of do need her in there.
Well, she was the go-between.
She's the outsider's perspective. She's an audience surrogate in a lot of ways.
Yeah, because she's literally picking sides, whether she picks the side of the hospital or picks the side of Ron Woodruff.
But she doesn't until the end.
After her realization comes crashing down, which the scene with the hammer.
But it's kind of a shame that it came at the end, because she became much more interesting after that.
Well, she became an actual human being, right? That's that.
So let's start with Act 1. Adam so lovingly referred to the acts, you named the acts.
Yeah, I didn't have much of a... Well, I kind of did it off the cuff.
Which is the best.
Yeah, that's the best way to do it. But I think it follows. It really does, from a pacing, shot selection, the whole 9 yards. Amphetamines or cocaine. You could just be like, woo! Is really what Act 1 is, and it's Act 1 runs at about 140 miles an hour.
It's just balls to the wall.
Yeah, it's hedonistic insanity.
A lot of quick cuts.
And I fucking love it.
Act 1 was great, and it really personified that in You Have 30 Days to Live, and it's just like bam, 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 bam. Everything happens so quick, before and after that.
No, absolutely. And not just that, but if you want to continue on the drug haze, we have a main character that's blacking out, and that's his illness, but I've been there. It's like I've waken up in some questionable positions on a floor. I get it, and I love what the visceral effect of that is as it happens. It really, there are two things in the first 30 minutes that pull me in, right? That's definitely one of them. And then the second thing is, do you want to call it pre-act 1, exposition?
The first 10 minutes before he's diagnosed?
Yeah, the rodeo.
Yeah.
Right? You get this instant, I immediately know who Ron Woodruff is. I know that guy.
Starts off, he's in a cage, fucking two chicks, personified as an animal.
As the bull, yeah. And then he's a hustler. Absolute, stone cold hustler.
With the sunglasses on.
With the sunglasses on, running from the guys that he's conned, punching police officers. Got some pithy one-liners in there.
Well, yeah, and he's running from his supposed friends, getting punched by his only friend at that point in time.
Yeah, right?
his only true friend, who is on the other side of the law,
It's great. He's just burning bridges.
Yeah.
which is Steve Zahn again. Awesome.
But yeah, it's great. It's absolutely great.
How many times did he get knocked unconscious and like he was out within the first 4 minutes or so of the
So
film?
he gets decked. He gets a ride home. He comes in,
Passes out.
and passes out.
That's
That's 4 minutes in. Yeah,
Yeah.
roughly.
unconscious
Yeah.
number one,
And then when he gets electrocuted, conscious number 2.
where it shows his first sign of humanity, where the illegal worker is pinned by
Yeah,
the leg.
underneath some large machinery.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
just call a fucking ambulance.
That's foreshadowing.
Yeah.
I think is what they call that, right?
Yeah. It's like they want to establish pretty quickly.
you're
It's
like,
like,
he's-
listen, this guy's not a total dick.
Yeah, he's a hustler with a heart of gold
A cowboy hat.
in a
Love
cowboy
that
hat.
cowboy
He's
hat.
Jesus with spurs. Yeah,
Yeah.
like that's not seen in the trailer, but he's Jesus with AIDS and spurs. No, and a cowboy hat. But no, it's just if there was a way to ramp up the movie that was perfect, they found it, and I will defend that to the end of the day. Night, heat death of the universe, whatever it might be. I'm gonna come out swinging on that point. So if either of you disagree, we can go out behind this establishment and
It's scary back there.
settle it like gentlemen in the dark.
You know, what I loved in the beginning was all the cuts to black. Because right off the bat, you're getting a meter that is visually there. The fact that almost each cut to black coincides with an act of violence of some sort. The first one being when the guy who's actually riding the bull at the beginning. He's not watching.
While
He's fucking the two
boffing,
chicks, yeah. And he falls down. He sees the guy just splayed out, knocked unconscious, cut to black. He gets decked, cut to black. He passes out, cut to black. Anytime somebody basically gets knocked, they cut to black. When he's, essentially told, hey, you have AIDS, cut to black. So they were using this physical cue that they turn into an emotional one with just the right timing.
Yeah, watching it with you the first time, it was visually jarring every time that it happened. It felt like it just reached out and hit me. Bam.
It felt like paragraphs in a book. It was very quick. These were chapters to be 1 or 2 page chapters.
It's Hemingway writing, right? It's
Yeah.
nice and it's economical.
But then it
It's very
stops
punchy.
being Hemingway writing.
Well, right. But
Yeah.
I mean, I want to make sure that we bring this up because you guys talk about it, and I was like, oh, that's a brilliant observation. But the glasses thing, just before we, because I feel like we're gonna roll on out.
Yeah, every time he had his sunglasses on, he was in kick-ass mode. He was in Ron Woodruff is invincible mode. Once the shit hit the fan, he would put on his reading glasses, and that's where he was like, okay, now I really have to do this the right way.
And it's visually effective. Like, he looks
Totally different.
like a completely different person.
It's like he's calm and collected for that moment, for that scene, even though he's finding out all this information he doesn't want to find out, and especially the realization of needles and unprotected sex.
Yeah.
Desperate. I mean, that's what I'd use. I mean, if you think about the scene where he gets done doing research at the library, right, and then he ends up talking to Jennifer Garner's character, Dr. Sachs, and he's talking about they have this drug here, they have this thing, and you can just sense this overwhelming will to survive, sense of desperation. And I just it was one of those things where the first time through, I didn't even pick up on any visual cue with that, right? For me, it was just okay. This is the performance, his body posture, it's things of that nature, and the fact that they were wise enough to give us just a little bit of costuming that says, hey, this guy's different, above and beyond, how his shoulders are hung.
One of the strengths of this film, though, is that they give you so many thematic cues. There's so much repetition that even if you're not getting it on a conscious level, you're definitely going to pick up on it on an unconscious level.
Every time red was used.
Blue, as well. But that electric wine, kind of reminiscent to, can't believe I'm going to use a video game reference here, but like Silent Hill, the sirens go and oh, wait a second, reality is going to shift.
Bad shit's happening.
But it's not, that wine's not there for us. That wine is there for him. Like, every time that wine happens, it is as if the character is realizing that something transformative is about to occur. it's like a spidey sense. He knows that his perspective is about to get a bitch slap.
And they did all of these cues so well with the visual and the audio, where everything felt so well sculpted, because it didn't take me out of it every time. Watching through the second time, I actually had to take my headphones out because the whine was so loud.
I did that the first time.
Did you?
I don't know if you noticed, but the first time it happened, I immediately yanked them out because it was so jarring.
I could only imagine what it was like in theaters.
Oh God!
What, 12,000 hertz?
Yeah. a Mothra-sized mosquito.
Yeah, there was a sound engineer. His tinnitus got set off. He was rolling around on the ground in pain.
But it was perfect.
I also, as far as, if we think of traditional storytelling and we think of 3-act structure, I think it's the most complete act that they give us, from introduction of conflict to resolution.
Oh yeah, they knocked it out of the park in Act 1.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things where when you start off that strong, it forgives a bunch of sins. Because there are sins.
Like the third
committed.
act.
Yeah. Which I would imagine comes after we talk about the second.
Let's go ahead and get into that.
We're talking about the third act?
No, not the third act.
I thought we were going to mix shit up a bit. Okay,
Well,
never mind.
This is not Mystery Science Theater.
Before we move into Act 2, let's talk about reflections. The use of reflections in Act 1, because the reflections were very heavily used.
Well, first, how do we want to define Act 1? We're going to go ahead and assume that people listening to this have seen the film.
Yeah,
so they should have a frame of reference to when we say Act 1. We know what we're talking about, but, if you guys had to define beginning, end of Act 1, what would it be exactly?
Suicide attempt would be the end of Act 1.
You have AIDS at the beginning.
The beginning? Yeah, because you had the 10-minute intro.
Yeah.
It's not even.
It's 9 minutes and 36 seconds.
Wow, you counted.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's anal. I
Yeah.
like it.
It was like, we were watching it, and did I ask you to pause it? Because...
Yeah,
yeah.
you told me to pause it, and you were like, "Bam, that there's
does that
balls
include,
rolling."
Does that include the intro credits and titles?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I was not that acutely aware, to say the least. I was like, they finished it
That thing.
right
Yeah.
there. I was like, okay, balls rolling. Don't
But,
care about the time.
No, definitely where you see him in his car, pulls over to the side of the road, pulls the gun out, and just loses it.
Yeah, and then we cut to black.
Yeah. Oh, I want to mention the camera shot for that, coming in through the windshield, and then he pulls off his sunglasses, which is more use of those sunglasses. And I think there's even a third character that's just in utter loss of hope and everything, where he has no glasses. If you want to think about that,
his armor's off, right?
total no armor, because with sunglasses he's Mr. Badass, with reading glasses he's Mr. Fix-It, and with no glasses he is just bare to the world.
Did he have glasses on during the, as I like to dub it, the unsexiest hookers ever seen?
No.
Zero glasses.
Which is interesting, because you're watching him almost be like a superhero, really wide angles.
Close-ups and...
Not even. It was a lot of mid-shots. You're getting a lot of the action from his perspective as well. Like I said, the most unsexy
The
hookers.
action.
It was so gross.
Well,
It's
the whole entire
it's
film.
a $50 threesome, is what that was.
Salt and pepper.
But that scene ends with him refusing.
Yeah, and that's another sign of his humanity.
Yeah, and what does he do right after?
I don't remember.
Anybody? So he hallucinates the 30 days in the calendar thing, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And then the next day he goes and he starts reading.
Oh, okay,
Is
so the
that
next
right?
day is library.
Yeah. Is when he begins to read in. It's when he finds the IV users at like 17% or whatever.
Yeah.
It's when the realization hits him, etc. So yeah, like that moment is his. I mean, that's when it starts.
That's his shit or get off the pot.
That's when he
Yeah.
starts coming to grips.
I think it was when he was watching his friend
Yeah, he totally like.
Because that's really when the tonal shift of his character happens. Is when he looks in there, he watches his friend doing it, and then sees the calendar. And I don't even think it's seeing the calendar that sparks it. It's just watching his friend kind of live up this decadence that he's been doing for so long now.
Well, he has an I want to live moment, right? When he gets out of the hospital, and I want to live first manifests itself in cocaine and hoes, and then he has a second I want to live moment that is realized when you see your completely greasy best friend
It looked like everyone was covered in Crisco.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
I mean, the first two acts were so grimy to begin with. So many low angles. Like, nothing feels clean.
Did you wash your hands?
No.
I felt like I needed to take a shower.
Yeah. Okay.
It was very effective.
I think I did take a shower, but not because I needed to, like from the movie.
It just kind of coincided.
Yeah, it was a happy coincidence.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't like a cathartic experience. It was a normal shower.
Yeah.
It had soap and everything.
No AIDS.
No AIDS.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's good. Was there a rodeo in the shower?
There's always a rodeo.
Okay.
In the shower.
Was there a sad clown in a blue bucket?
That clown shot.
That's-
Holy shit. That is so great.
Jim, that's none of your damn business.
We'll talk about it more with the other fantastic, the fantasy shot sequence. But this felt like the precursor to the butterfly scene.
Yeah.
Because it just felt so out of whack. Because he was sitting in the stands with the AZT, looked down, the barrel was empty, the clown pops up after a cutback, and it was just really surreal.
Yeah. No, like, you actually stopped and rewound to see if the clown was there to begin with.
I did.
Yeah.
I had to. That was an Alice in Wonderland moment.
Okay, not a Stephen King It moment.
No.
Different clown.
Different clown entirely.
Okay.
He
We
was
all
not
we all
telling-
float down
yeah.
here, Jimmy.
Was that a reference to me, or was that the actual character?
Yes.
Yes.
You know, you said yes, and I asked, like,
Exactly. Yeah. That's.
alright, I'll go with it.
So the suicide scene, we can say that was the end of Act 1.
Yeah. It starts the bridge.
Because that's his third I Want to Live scene.
Yeah, I think all of Mexico is really a bridge for
Yeah.
me. I'm totally creeped out by that whistle. I hope you picked that up. Creepy as hell.
I mean, you just talked about it. And
Yeah, the whistle. But no, yeah,
I have my back to it, so you guys better tell me if something happens.
Oh, we won't.
it's a spider. Anyway, so no, all of Mexico is this bridge from Act 1 to 2. It's one of those things where I think when you see enough movies, it gets really easy to start picking it out. A part of me wanted to go Campbell, Hero of 1,000 Faces. Like, is this his point of no return? A part of me is like, yeah, maybe. And then you can't really. It doesn't fit. I don't. There's no old wise mentor or anything like that. So it
Yes,
doesn't.
there is.
You think?
The Doctor in
Yeah,
Mexico.
the Doctor in Mexico.
You think the Doctor in Mexico?
The point
Oh,
of no return happens when
definitely-
he looks.
Okay, so I totally missed it.
The point of no return happens when he looks around, realizes there's money to be made, and I can totally bring this shit back with me.
Yeah, I mean, he's survived for, 3 months down there?
Yeah. When he realizes, because that is his mission, that is his quest.
He's like, he puts
And
the sunglasses
he accepts
back on.
it, puts the sunglasses on, and becomes a priest.
Well, now
a
I'm
man
pissed.
of the cloth.
I'm pissed I didn't, I had this inkling and I didn't follow it through.
You shoulda.
I totally should have.
You
Yeah,
Shut up.
because every time that he was in Mexico talking to the doctor, he had no glasses on. And then when he goes, we can make money at this, sunglasses come on. And he's like, bam, let's get shit done.
And a protein is his mythical weapon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he feels
I'm
like
with
he
it.
can get back on top and get back into the game, the hustling game,
Yeah.
on a different substance.
Yeah. And it is a redemption quest.
No, it absolutely is. It absolutely is a redemption quest. Okay, so I think this is probably going to change some of my opinions
For Act 2?
for the rest of it. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I mean, the Doctor doesn't die You
No.
know, and here, I mean, the Doctor has to die for it to really fit. I guess we get Rayon instead.
The Doctor is more of the "it's dangerous to go alone, take this."
Yeah.
He's definitely a cog in the wheel to keep the story going.
Or as I like to call him, he's the old man in the cave in Zelda.
That's what I just referenced.
Yeah.
It's dangerous to go alone, take this.
That's totally 8-bit.
Oh yeah.
It's okay, it's 5 in the morning.
Yeah.
We're allowed.
You can make some excuses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I did say as I like to call it. I like to go with very little, to the point, exact and obvious.
He uses way more packaged terminology.
Yeah.
He assumes you've played Zelda, whereas I understand what you say. Without
Because
ever having-
we played Zelda.
No, I mean, I wouldn't have had to have played Zelda.
Yeah.
But but all right, yeah. Let's run with this quest idea.
Okay.
Let's run with that. I like that. I
You didn't see it as a quest
no.
originally.
Is it a quest? So here's we're gonna take a quick step back from this movie, and we're just gonna talk storytelling theory. We're gonna talk. We're gonna
Let's.
talk Joseph Campbell.
Okay.
Okay. So when I think Hero with a Thousand Faces, I immediately think Star Wars.
Yeah.
Always and forever, because it fits it so fucking well. It's absurd, right?
Mhm.
So I'm like, okay, who's Obi-Wan, right? Like, okay, well, if the Doctor's Obi-Wan, then he has to die, right? So the second I don't get that trigger, right? Like later on in the movie, I don't get it, so I drop the ball there.
He definitely is kind of an Obi-Wan, and if you need an answer to how did he die, he lost his practice and his ability to be a doctor in the
He's
States.
still there.
Yeah.
But he's on not Dagobah, he's on what's the desert planet?
Tatooine.
He's on Tatooine. So Mexico is Tatooine. And Ron Woodruff is Luke Skywalker going to Tatooine. On Tatooine. He already lived there. Whatever.
I don't know how I feel about this actually.
Yeah. See, I just don't feel like it's.
Let's scale this back and actually talk about the hero with a thousand faces as opposed to the example of Star Wars. Because even though Lucas used the book for his final draft of the scripts, and he did hold it to a T, Campbell himself would be probably one of the first people to go, no, it doesn't have to be exactly like this. There are so many different stories that don't incorporate all these facets. And beyond that, in a lot of ways, when Mexico stops being an option, we never really see that dude again.
Yeah, because I guess there is that scene where he's like, I'm staying stateside, I'm local, you know. He's not going across
Yeah.
borders anymore.
The wise mentor, or the quest giver, doesn't need to die.
I just want him to die.
Yes, because you're
That's what
you.
it is. I'm me, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm terrible. Sorry, Doctor Guy.
They facilitate.
Dr. Obi-Wan.
Yeah,
Dr.
they
Obi-Wan,
facilitate a very simple function, which is here's your quest. It's always been your quest.
Hooray! Yeah. All right, great.
What I mean is, as Campbell would say, the quest has always been there.
Yeah, you just needed someone to.
You
to
just
be
need
like,
somebody to show.
laser pointer it out to you.
Basically, yeah. But the quest is there, and it's taken when the hero is ready to take it. The hero is always ready for that quest, no matter how random it may seem to them.
Even though it's a selfish quest.
It is. It's.
Well, it starts out that way.
Yeah.
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 Well, yeah. That's why it's a redemptive
Yeah.
quest at the end of the day.
Transformative.
Yeah, complete with the butterflies, which is interesting because you have that. You already mentioned sort of the parallels between seeing the clown in
As
the
a
bucket
surreal.
as a very surreal scene, and then the butterflies.
Which is easily a rebirth.
Well, I think it's totally metaphor. It's very ham-fisted.
Yeah.
Metaphor.
But it was beautiful.
Transformation complete.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, beyond that, when does that actually happen in the film? We're jumping to like Act 3 now, because that happens when Rayon dies. The
Yeah.
lights begin to flicker,
unbeknownst to him. Yeah.
but it's almost as if the cosmos was saying, "Hey,
Something's going on.
something's
here.
going on. Something major is happening. Your quest is almost at an end." He steps in to a very confined space, as opposed to the rodeo, where he's in a large rodeo, just sitting on the benches. Confined metal space with a bunch of butterflies, which, I mean, symbolically mean rebirth. symbolically also mean death.
And they were definitely contrasted because butterflies couldn't harm you if they fucking wanted to, and in the rodeo arena, people die all the time, and so that's definite contrast in those two scenes.
Yeah, but the clown's supposed to be levity at the rodeo, which is kind of interesting because it's not. It is not levity.
No, and he's in the only safe area on that rodeo grounds.
Yeah.
Is in the barrel.
This is just one sad clown with a blue hat.
Yep.
I feel like that every morning.
I hope that's what he was credited as. Sad clown with a blue hat.
In a bucket. Which he does see him again
At the end.
at the end.
In the house, the clown is a ceramic statue.
He also sees him at the rodeo.
He does see him at the rodeo again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think right before he's and I could totally be fudging this, but right before he decides that like everyone's gonna get meds,
Yeah.
he sees that ceramic clown, right?
I didn't even pick up on that. Let's talk about Rayon, because holy shit, amazing.
Holy
Yeah.
shit, amazing.
Holy shit, amazing, Rayon.
We're done.
Covered A to B
Yeah, you're good.
to Z.
You didn't leave anything
Well, I mean,
out.
Rayon is such a integral part of Act 2. We get an introduction of almost like a kindred spirit, a hustler with another hustler.
In complete contrast.
Yeah,
Great card player.
yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic cheekbones. Broad shoulders.
Super loving.
Yeah, no.
Hyper affectionate.
Hyper affectionate. I don't know if I'd say. Yeah, no, I'll roll with that. More importantly, like empathetic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't recall a scene where Rayon wished ill will
On anyone.
on anyone in the film.
Minus Rayon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was her own worst enemy.
Yeah. And here's the thing, it's like Ron is kind of this unlikable guy at that point, right? And Rayon's not. Like Rayon's the exact opposite. And if anything, we have
She is his foil.
yeah, and to an extent, at least trekking across the rest of the movie, Rayon serves as a way to humanize Ron. The supermarket scene, in particular,
So good.
that like, there you go, like that's QED for Ron being a human being, And I think for me, like it's at that point in time that he becomes a likable guy. Because until then, I was like, is this guy trying to get rich on AIDS patients? I had that thought. I was
Well,
like,
he was.
well,
He
he
was.
totally was. And I'm like, this motherfucker coming in here, just basically like, not a death merchant per se, but definitely, getting rich on a plague. He's like his own little version of the FDA at that point.
I was just about to say that there's that definite beginning where he and the villain are almost one.
For a little while, they kind of reflect each other. He may not see it that way, but when he tells that one kid, it's $400, you need 350 more.
Yeah, fuck off.
Fuck off. And that's when he was his own little FDA. And then once they started doing that to him, he was like, oh shit. And then, he was like, the two guys came in, the couple. Was it that scene that they didn't have? No, they had the money.
They have the money.
Yeah.
I mean, when they're introduced, it's very cut and dry. It serves the dual purpose of establishing how he conducts his business, as well as setting up two characters that are going to come back later
Yeah.
and help him.
So just to circle back to
It's just efficient writing.
like Rayon, empathy, etc. If you think about it, it's like what Ron's trying to do doesn't work, right? Like he's not getting the ball rolling. He can't move product, right?
He's put some money in his pocket, but
he's more or less he's failing or floundering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At minimum. And then Rayon comes in, and bam, there you go. Like it totally picks up for
it was
Ron.
that
everybody.
piece that he was needing
Yeah, and like I said,
for his grand scheme.
right. And at that, before then, I was like, this motherfucker he's totally taken advantage of people, or at least a situation. Rayon provides the conduit to, transformation. She's the catalyst.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as a plot device, completely important.
So let's talk about the quick montage that really got the ball rolling in Act 2. That was definitely an Arthur quest.
Israel.
Where he went worldwide.
Tokyo.
And they had all of the world music from those areas all together in one song. It was fantastic.
Do you notice how he stands out?
Oh, like a sore fucking thumb.
Against everything.
Yeah.
It's great.
Really quick. Didn't feel like it dragged.
No, I think, I mean, if I like I said, I didn't acutely watch the timeline, but I mean, that might take 30 seconds.
It was perfectly timed,
maybe
by the way.
45.
Not the montage, but when it came, because at that point, the pace of this film is one of the things that I enjoyed the most.
Yeah, and right before the montage, it was stretching out.
It was. It was a much-needed shock to the arm.
Yeah, so in how fast Act 1 was, which was bam, 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 and then Act 2 was 2 months later, 5 months later.
To a year.
Yeah.
Really.
But even, you know, the time between those reveals, the jumps were longer. You know, we were really getting much more into...
Gotta let those characters breathe.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. And it's also, you know, he had 30 days to live, but now he's doing better. Life is going back to normal almost, right?
And this definitely contrasts to when he leaves the country again and goes down to Mexico. Because when he left to go on all these worldwide things, Rayon was back at home base, making sure everything got done.
Or getting high.
Or getting high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ever name the other character that was helping them? Because I never picked up on
Oh,
the
her?
character's name.
The black lady?
Yeah.
Yes. I'll be damned if I can tell you what her name is.
I don't remember it.
She has a name, though. Robert Paulson.
I get that
Her
one.
name was Robert Paulson. Shit. What was I going to say? I don't fucking remember.
Her name is Robert Paulson.
Her name was Robert Paulson.
She was getting shit done too. I mean, that could have been anyone.
Yeah. And that's one of those things where it's like, does that character stand out? No.
No.
It's like, oh, we need a responsible individual. Let's cast someone that looks responsible and
She
score.
did stand out to me, actually.
and score points for inclusiveness.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that's really because there's that line he has when he's first down in Mexico, where he's still being racist Ron, right? And he's like, "You got a new world order." It's like, you know, chinks, fags, whatever. So I feel like that's part of it, right? It's part of Ron's different now. He's an inclusive guy. We're shedding the homophobia. We're shedding the racism.
Yeah.
And the supposed group of friends from the beginning save Steve Zahn, who totally abandoned him at the, you know, inference of AIDS.
Mm-hmm.
He
Scene in the diner.
so good in the diner, or in the bar. Was it the bar or the diner?
It's a bar.
No, that second thing. So that scene in there.
But so he lost all of them and gained this new family that if you would have told him 5 years ago these would be the people you count on, he'd have been like, nah, man, I got my rodeo family. They got me.
Yeah, that you embrace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he came to count on them and depend on them and vice versa, even though he was still so gruff about things. You know, he became the father figure for that house.
Oh yeah, he's very authoritarian with how he manages. He points a gun at Rayon at some point.
Well, in jest.
He's still pointing a gun at somebody.
Oh, and that's when the couple comes in. He's like,
Yeah.
oh shit, man, I forgot.
Yeah. He's just cowboy on. But I was gonna say that the nurse who's helping them, a lot of the characters, there's this thing that I kept noticing in the film that, I mean, it's a standard of the business, but for whatever reason, just the way that it tended to be framed and the blocking of it, background people in this film, when something was going on, like in the house, and then you see like 3 rooms down, somebody's just going about their business and acting out a sequence, and you know, it could be any actual, who the fuck cares? But the fact that it seemed so deliberate was something that I kept picking up on, especially in these scenes where it's supposed to be almost intimate, right? Like shortly after Aeon dies, Act 3, and Dr. Sachs comes over to the house, and they see the little tribute, the memoriam. 3 rooms down, somebody is working the desk, still at this business, at this venture. It's the sense I got from it was, yeah, we're seeing history, but it's grounded in reality, no matter how almost fantastical, as we were talking about a hero crest here.
Yeah, that life around them keeps going.
Yeah.
And it has to. There's still sick people. There's still people that need their meds.
So a lot of the peripheral characters actually stand out to me. That's why I asked, what's that character's name? Because I wanted to know.
Did we ever find that out?
No.
Okay.
I wanted to know. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Well, like Sonny's the same way. Sonny's
Bradford Cox.
a lot of the time in the background, just doing something, yet bringing so much life.
Sonny is noticing Ron having sex in the bathroom before anybody else.
Yes.
That's what Sonny's doing. Sonny's like, wait, I know that. that sounds like painting.
Which are hero rejuvenated. Not triumphant, but rejuvenated.
Yeah, no, I think, and I want to kind of put a bow on Act 2 the best we can.
What did you want to call Act 2? We didn't get to that.
Oh, Act 2 is like a stage of death. Act 2 is acceptance.
Acceptance?
Which I think is pretty fair. I mean, a lot of it is Ron coming to grips, and then, figuring out how to deal with it. He's accepted his fate, and now he's moving on. And in a way, yeah, I mean, the thing I want to point out is, like, that's the cue that Ron's thriving, And I think this really plays in with a 3-act structure. Like, at that point in time, I was like, Ron Woodruff is fucking invincible, despite the fact that he is, full-blown AIDS, no joke illness.
And getting knocked down at every turn, literally and...
Yeah, both physically and figuratively, But here he is, just going at it in the bathroom, which is like so Ron, like that's the guy, like that's who we were first introduced to, is just this kind of hedonistic madman.
Yeah.
So I feel like he's back, right? Like he's back. Here he is.
But what always happens though when the hero's at his height, that is when he gets knocked.
We gotta take that bitch down a peg.
And we find ourselves with the FDA.
Mm-hmm. Who is the true villain
Yeah,
of the story?
Ron Woodruff is not FDA approved. He does not get the seal of approval. And so be it. Let's get some conflict thrown in there. We can't have it all be sunshine and rainbows, right?
Mm-hmm.
So...
But he still goes, even in that scene where they're taking the drugs, where they're...
He's still fighting.
Oh, he's piss and vinegar.
He's calling his lawyer. He's writing checks, throwing them on the windshield. Well, I guess that's the IRS, actually, that he does that.
Yeah.
FDA, he's like basically flippant, right? What's wrong with eating plants with the aloe? That's kind of a stance. Raging pissed, right? But still ready to fight.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, like, the tide has turned, definitely.
I found, once again, speaking of visual cues throughout this film, that coincides when Rayon paints the hotel room red. I know that you and I discussed this, Bishop.
More use of red.
The use of red in this film is actually one of the things that stuck out to me the most.
Every time Rodeo was shown in print, it was in red print. The rodeo arena had a lot of red in it.
Maybe.
A lot of the sets had red in it.
Yeah.
The safe haven of the hotel was blue. Was
Yeah.
very calm colors. And then, almost as if he's inviting danger, the room gets painted red. When he is at the height of invincibility. And it's also when we start to realize that Rayon likes to get high. We're watching 2 downfalls about to happen.
Well, I mean, it signifies the struggle.
Yeah.
Right? And, the rodeo is the metaphor for hanging on for dear life. So if you platform that out, rodeo red, room red, we're getting ready to fight for our life. End of Act 2. Get ready to fight for your life.
And that brings us into Act 3, which you so lovingly refer to as...
Did I give it an... Oh. Everybody fucking dies.
Yeah. That sums it up.
Welcome to Act 3. Put on your seatbelt.
End of story. No.
Yeah, the end. They should just... one inner title. Yes, everyone dies. Not everyone.
What did y'all think about Act 3?
Jim,
I'm not a fan.
Not a fan?
Yeah.
Why?
It's too quick. It's too clean. It's
Because I'm gonna circle back to, so in when we were talking Act 1, and I was like, oh snap, Hero with 1,000 Faces, how that's gonna change my opinion of things. Changes my opinion of the third act.
really
Yeah,
mine stays the same.
yours stays the same.
Because, to me, the cart sequence, although it's supposed to be the pivotal climax, truly isn't. The sequence with the butterflies is.
yeah, no, and for me, like that suddenly now that works.
Yeah.
Yeah, it works. Like our hero's gone through some shit, right? And do I still think it's heavy-handed? Yes, absolutely. I think most of the third act is heavy-handed, to say the least. Which originally was my big issue with it. I was like, come on, guys. I as an audience, I want you to think we're a little bit smarter. But I think from a transformative standpoint, like, I didn't need that scene, but it gives me a little bit, I guess, surreal comfort, knowing that I feel like Ron's come out the other side. You know, he's a butterfly, right? So it comes out of the cocoon, starts out as a caterpillar, a hustling, sunglasses wearing, gun toting caterpillar.
Yeah.
Turns into this kind of, I don't know, just peaceful, calm at points.
Definitely the most level-headed he's been in the entire story.
Yeah, absolutely. And in that regard, I think it does a good job. And the third act, I think, it also serves as this a coda of sorts. I mean, we start in the rodeo, we end in the rodeo, right? Ron riding the bulls, Ron holding on, you know.
And that reflects the scene that he had in the dinner scene, where he was like, you know, this is what I want to do, and you know, I'm not going to be here forever, and just want to get back on that bull, because to me, that's what life is. That's the rodeo. That's the chance,
right,
to be something great, which is all he wanted. He didn't go about the right way all of his life.
At least not at first.
Not at first. At the end, he definitely went through that metamorphosis with the scene with the butterflies, came out totally transformed, and ended up doing all of these great things for these people, where at the beginning of the story, he didn't want anything to do with. When he got his diagnosis, at the end, he embraced all of that, and just they gave him the house. He gave the medication away to the people that couldn't afford it. Fought for them tooth and nail, not just for himself. At the end, he was there was more that he was fighting for, and Rayon taught him that.
Jim looks totally like no.
Well, let's talk about Rayon, because you know Rayon actually dies third act.
Spoiler.
Yeah, after appealing to her father.
Which was an amazing scene.
Oh yeah, beautifully acted.
It could have been all of these other just scenes where you see the child try to either win over the approval or tell the parent how awful they were, and they turned it on its head. And in the one scene where Rayon could have been vicious towards her father, she was still ultimately loving and had one little snarky comment. It's like, you did win, I have AIDS.
Yeah.
But even that was still so gentle, and everything that she did for Ron by cashing in her life insurance policy, just, it was incredible.
So Rayon dies, we get the butterfly scene, the transformation. We essentially then jump ahead, and I think that's part of my problem here, is when we jump ahead, he looks so, the whole entire time he's in the cart house, he looks so defeated.
And again, with the reflections in the top of the table, you didn't see it. There was no reflection of Ron in the top of the table.
Just the judge. Right?
Just the judge.
Because the judge is making the decision. Reflections throughout the whole entire film, to me at least, always seem to be an introspective moment of that character about to make a major life-changing decision. A judge, of course, does that to others. So
in front of an empty courtroom, and every chair was red. And I think, to me, that represented all of those people that were against him, and just visually. And I'm not sure if that was intended, but to me that's how it came out, because it was a sea of empty red chairs right behind him, and it looked so menacing, even though there was nothing there.
Well, if we're going with the idea that the red symbolizes the conflict, the will to fight, things are about to come, this is fighting time. If that is in a lot of ways almost a personal motif for Ron, could it be that the red empty chairs behind him actually symbolize the people that aren't there? The community as a whole that he is
representing?
Represent.
Could be.
Because that's kind of what I took from it, which is why the scene afterwards when he gets to the house,
Standing ovation. Yeah.
and they get the standing ovation, I'm kind of conflicted by it. In a lot of ways, it's a very cliche kind of moment, almost unnecessary. Because
so,
they're there. And that's what I took from it. Like, they're already there in the courtroom with them.
Yeah, and I guess this is one of those things when I talk about, like, Act 3 sins. This is one of them. I never got the impression that Ron was fighting for the cause necessarily. You know, I got the idea that Ron was fighting for himself. I got the idea that Ron was fighting against the FDA. I never got the impression that Ron was standing up for other folks. If we are trying to convey that, I feel like it was put on us very much last second.
Yeah.
It's put on us in... He pulls an IV in with him to a meeting, right, where the FDA and pharma is talking to a support group, and that's it. That's all I see. You know, it's kind of there when he's being dragged out of the hospital and he says, don't let him kill you, don't let him put poison in your veins, etc. So if that tide has turned where it's Ron no longer just fighting for himself, it happens so fast. From everything that's happened up until that point, I feel like it just gets like shuffled in at the end.
Well, the elements were there. The elements were definitely there when they printed out 10,000 flyers to be anti-AZT.
But that's with like 15 minutes left in the film.
Right, but and it wasn't pushed in your face. He didn't stand up and say, I am fighting for these people. He was definitely fighting for himself, and unbeknownst to him was also fighting for the rights of all these people.
I guess, but even like one of the final intertitles, right, is that Ron Woodruff won the ability to, you know,
For himself.
you know. So I feel like it's being shoehorned. You know?
A much more natural way to evoke that sensation that he's no longer fighting for himself, I thought, was when he sells the car. When
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, we're now
So
looking at a
we're-
man who's like, oh, this is worth it. Sacrifices can be made, which is kind of interesting because we did bring up the hero's quest.
So real quick, if you cut out the standing ovation scene, does that sell it more?
It does to me, actually.
Okay. 'Cause I just
It
had that
really
thought.
does. I thought it was very unnecessary.
Yeah, exactly.
It could have been unnecessary, but to tie in a comparison of not even a comparison, but a reflection of something that happened at the beginning of the film, where everyone was against him, they pushed him away, and at the end, everyone is with him and they embrace him, and that's just a strict contrast of where he was and where he ended up. And he may have not have wanted any of those things to happen, but it did. All those people that were there that he was helping. Because yeah, when he said, see how much we can get for the car, because this stuff needs to happen, that was essentially a sunglasses moment. That was just act, but in a badass way. You know, didn't even
Without
think about
sunglasses
it.
on.
Right.
Doesn't need it.
Doesn't need them at this
Doesn't
point.
need it.
I think when all of those three characters combined, no glasses, reading glasses, and sunglasses, he finally gets a grasp on being able to act on all of those as a character.
He's complete.
He is complete.
But that's the butterfly, right?
It's the butterflies.
He's done cooking.
It's the cheesy standing ovation because it took him by surprise. He came home thinking that he was a failure, and they still embraced him. It may not have been needed, but to complete the contrast from what happened at the beginning.
Are Jim and I being nitpicky?
I'm not Gemini.
No, I said are Jim.
Oh,
and
Jim and I.
Are you a Gemini?
No,
What's your birth sign?
I'm Taurus. I don't.
Taurus, do you like long walks on the beach?
I do.
Candlelit dinners?
Hand holding,
Okay. Great.
Snuggling.
You big spoon or little spoon?
both.
Okay. So switch hit spooner.
I'm a sporker.
Sporker. God, sounds really vile.
But it definitely, I think it definitely completed the contrast visually as an end cap.
I'll give it that, and I still don't like it.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
We're gonna be a touch curmudgeon-y.
That's
I
fine.
think you know maybe it's one of those things where, you know, the art house film student in me, I want this open-ended ending. Like if I just got him on the bowl, fuck yeah,
Yeah.
go team. But I guess how do I get to the bowl? Maybe I gotta go
You
through
need a
some
little
people
stepping
clapping.
stone.
You need some moments of catharsis and what
Yeah.
have you. That's fine.
But
I
all
like,
in all,
I like the bowl.
yeah, the bull symbolizes everything.
I think the bowl's great.
At the beginning, it symbolized everything that was vile, and him in the cage as an animal himself, being let out, not knowing what will happen, just a pure chaotic beast, which is what he was. And then at the end, where he controlled that beast. Again, not everything happened the way that he wanted to, but he was able to control that chaotic beast. So again, that's end cap reflection storytelling.
Boosh.
Okay, we'll just end there.
Let's
We'll
do
just,
that.
We'll just the Dallas Buyers Club. The end.
Yeah,
That's good.
the end. Any closing remarks?
Would you tell your mother to see it? Dear Mom, you really need to see this.
I would tell my mom to see it, but my mom
Kid tested.
is very
Let's see if she approves. Yeah.
She's very open-minded to stories.
Cool. Jim?
You know, oddly enough, I was never really one to make movie recommendations to my family.
Okay. You don't have to make one to Mom.
Yeah, well, it's
Do you
like,
have like a cousin?
I mean, I would recommend the film.
Like almost a stranger.
I would recommend the film.
So I don't know. I think from an acting standpoint, yes, absolutely. If you're an individual that really gets wrapped up in people's performances and you can share that emotional tie, then by all means, great way to spend 2 hours. If you're looking for, I think, something that transports you, maybe changes your frame of mind, watch Philadelphia, as far as the subject's concerned. Go back and watch that instead.
So you say it's been done and been done better.
It's been done better. Angels in America, like there are things on the same topic that I think just have more gravitas, which is why I think Philadelphia is a very specific story. This is a very specific story because it's pretty well-traveled road by now. I think that's why we have to get we can't have like a macro view of that time period in America anymore, just because we've had it before. So we gotta ratchet down the focus. We gotta go to an individual, and that's how we're gonna feel the story. And my thing is, like, from a social implication standpoint, this is film school talking. This is deconstructive literature talking, in a capacity, but it's like, why? Why? So you made this movie, why? Why did I watch it? What did I get? We were a terrible country. Don't forget your past. This is still happening. And it might not be the fight on AIDS necessarily, but it's the fight for patient care, and in that regard, thumbs up. But this is still a country that, up until very recently, disapproved of gay marriage. California passed Prop 8. What?
Yeah.
Right? So no, I think it still has to happen. I think we still need to humanize people. That's important. We're still, from a biology wiring standpoint, tribal, and we have to give those faceless names or groups, we have to give them personality, which is sad, sure, but it's essential, right? We have to demystify those things. So I guess for me, I don't need that, right? But other people might.
Yeah.
So I think
They need their Ron in the grocery store scene.
Yeah. This is one of those. They need their. I like that. I was at, and this was a shock to me. I was downtown. I was at a bar, and someone told. I overheard a conversation where someone was under the impression that HIV causing AIDS was a government conspiracy.
I can't believe that people still think that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, well, if I could go back in time, maybe this guy should watch this fucking movie, because that's the country we live in. Yeah, we still have to make movies like this.
Mm-hmm. And there are still people that think that you can't get pregnant if you're having sex standing up. That those things still exist to this day.
Oh, I thought it was on your head, staying on your head.
All of those little things.
That's how I always did it.
Yeah,
That's
but
my
there are people that believe it. There are people that believe, like Ron's friends, where he spits on them. They're like, oh my God, give me some soap, give me some water, I don't want to get AIDS.
Yeah.
It's like you would literally need to be doused in a 50-gallon vat of spit from an HIV person.
Imbibe it, I believe.
Imbibe it to even get a 0.1% chance of it even infecting you with spit. And these are things that people don't realize. Like, the people that are so afraid to shake a person's hand that has HIV or AIDS because they think they'll get it. They have that fear. But people have these fears because they choose to remain uneducated. They come from families that teach it. They teach fear of gay. They teach fear of transgendered, of HIV, of AIDS, of cancer, for God's sake. And it's still relevant to this day. And it blows my mind.
It's interesting you bring up Philadelphia.
Oh.
It kind of correlates to this mode of analytical thought, if you will, that was imparted to me when I was much younger. Do a history paper, right? So say you have to do like a history paper, you have to write about a past event. Some of the best sources could be ode material. Essentially, not just because of the information being given, but the way that it's being presented. You get an understanding of the perspective that a culture has at that time on an issue.
We are being joined by a bird.
Bird on the table eating our food.
Very hungry bird. All right, I think it's good. Jim, you can continue. that was fucking weird.
That was.
We just need butterflies.
You know, for a second I thought he was actually going to go on my...
It's becoming Hitchcock here. We're being surrounded by birds. They want our pastries.
I thought we were going to get ants, not...
This is how you get birds,
This is
Cyril.
how
Yeah.
we get birds. No, Jim, please. Yeah, I think...
No, but,
yeah.
you know, in giving that recommendation, like, watch Philadelphia. Yeah, watch Philadelphia. Watch this as well. Because this is, as we brought up, how we're seeing it now. 5-6 years from now, watch this. Watch Philadelphia. Watch all of it. You know, that's why I would give my recommendation. You know, it might not be the best film, but it is relevant.
So you definitely think it falls in line with the education to the masses type film that Philadelphia was?
To an extent, yeah. I mean, we brought up the fact that this is a film that has come on the heels of the Affordable Care Act. 6 years from now, 10 years from now, kids growing up, if they think about it, could have that insight through a piece of art. So it's one of the reasons that this medium, well, any artistic medium, really, but this medium in particular to me, has always been fascinating. You know, you get beyond the story, the narrative, pretty pictures that are being given to you. Somebody's making a film, not all the time, because you get, you know, shit, right? You get schlock.
You get Steven Seagal.
You get Executive Decision. The best Steven Seagal film ever.
Because he dies 7 minutes in.
Yeah, but there are things to be told. There's impermanence there.
Can I just say that bird's gonna get diabetes?
No, I definitely agree with that. The diabetes and what you were saying.
Both of them. Yeah, there's some heavy shit. We gotta add some levity in there.
We definitely need it.
Yeah, I think that's me being completely uncomfortable with how poignant you might have been just then. So, yeah.
But spot on.
Absolutely.
I wanna thank you both for joining me in the very first episode of Roundtable Movie Talk. I hope to have you on many times in the future if you can afford the time.
If I can afford the time. My time is so expensive.
And I hope to throw more intensely grueling films at you that you have to watch twice.
That's fine. I do have one request in that case. Do not give me no Gus.
No Gus?
No Gus.
What is Gus?
Gus Van Sant?
No Gus?
No Gus.
Okay.
So not Promised Land?
I liked Promised Land. I thought it was done really well.
No Gus. And don't make me watch Antichrist. Or
Well, there goes episode 6.
or Nymphomaniac.
So no Fuck Knuckles Mountain.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Yeah, but anything else is pretty much fair game.
Okay. Well, we'll see you down the road.
Yeah. Dr. Shane.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I dressed up for this occasion, so
I wore my prettiest underwear.
I did.